Hello grade 9 students. Today I am here to teach you chapter 18 in your textbook, that's Circumference of a Circle. You started circles in grade 6. So you know how to draw a circle and what are the terms related to circle. Today we are discussing more about circles and about circumference. We'll see what are those. What are the characteristics of a circle? You already know. The midpoint of a circle we call center. Center of a circle. The distance from the center to the circumference or the outer length. What's the distance from the center to the circle? Radius. We call it radius. What's the letter we can use? Simple R. So outer length we can call it as circumference. We can use C letter for circumference. So center, radius and circumference. What about this one? A line joining two points on the circle along the center. What do you call that? That's the diameter. So what's the letter we can use? Simple D. And here this is the circumference. See. Observe carefully. So this distance is radius. Again this is radius. How I can write D, the diameter, in terms of radius? We see 1 diameter equals 2r. So D equals 2r. The diameter is twice the radius. So if you take diameter as D, radius is r. So this is a formula you can use. D equals 2r. Okay, so again when you take this circle, this is the diameter. The line joining two points on the circle passing through the center. Diameter. What is this one? Not passing through the center. Any 2 points on the circle connected, but that line is not passing through the center. What do you call that? Chord. We call it as chord. The largest chord of a circle is the diameter. The diameter cuts across the center. If the circumference is divided into 2 parts with this chord, what you call the bigger part? We call that's the major arc. So this is the major arc. So if I draw that one, so this is this one. Here to here. That's the major arc. So what's the other one? We call it minor arc. The smaller arc. We call this is minor. So remember, this is the major arc and this is the minor arc. So this divided with a chord. Complete the following table. Radius is given and you are asked to find out the diameter. So we know that when you multiply it by 2, you get the diameter. 7 times 2, 14. 3.5 times 2, 2 times 5, 10, 1 remaining, 2 times 3, 6, plus 1, 7. Now other way round, diameter is given. You divide by 2 to get the radius. 12 divided by 2, you get 6. 21 divided by 2, as a decimal, you can divide by 2, you get 1, and for this is 0. For 10, that's 10.5 centimeters. This is 17.5. So how you find out the diameter? Multiplied by 2. So multiply by 2. 2 times 5, 10. 2 times 7, 14. Plus 1, 15. 2 times 1 plus 1, 3. So you get 35. Now we'll see how we can measure circumference. To measure the circumference of a circle, measuring tape, which is used when stitching clothes, can be used. By placing the tape along the circumference, it can be measured. So we'll see how we can measure. So this is the measuring tape. So we use the centimeter side, and if you want to measure, any circular surface, so this one, how we do? We take the measuring tape, you keep here and take the measuring tape around this and measure the value. So here you get 30 centimeters. This one exactly 30 centimeters. Again, if you have something like a bottle, how you find out the circumference of this? So you keep it along. So hold it from one end and then go around and find the measurement. So here 18 centimeters. So this way, using a measuring tape, you can measure circumference. I showed you how to measure the circumference using a measuring tape. So we'll see another method to find out the circumference. Now we'll see how we can measure the diameter of a circle. To measure the diameter of a circle, the two set squares and the ruler from the instrument box can be used. So what you do, you take the ruler and the two set squares. So keep like this, only touches the circle with two set squares here, and you can measure this length. So we'll do that. How you measure? So you take the ruler and you need a circle. So I'll take a circle. So I want to measure the diameter of this. So what I can do, I take the two set squares and the ruler. First, I can keep the ruler like this, only touches this one, and I can just extend this and take one set square and keep it like this, only touches this one and here on top of the ruler. The other set square, you take it like this and keep on the other side. Only touches the circle and needs to keep on top of the ruler. Like this. Now here you can take a whole number here. So you can move the ruler so that you get a whole number here. So 3 is the measurement here. Here, what's the measurement? 11.2. So this is 11.2. This is 3. How we can find out the diameter? You can write 11.2 minus 3. So you get 8.2 centimeters for this diameter. So keep the two set squares, only touches the circle, and then you can measure this length. What's the other way of measuring? If you have a circle on a paper, you can cut it and you can take the ruler and you can fold it like that. So here I have two circles there. So what you can do, you can fold it into two. Now this is the diameter. So this is the diameter. So what you can do, you keep this one on top of the ruler. So like this here. So this is roughly 3.3. So the value is 3.3. So the value is 3.3 centimeters. Now take another circle. You can fold it into two parts and keep on top of this straight line. So the ruler is like this. So 3.5 centimeters. So this way also you can measure the diameter. Look at this one. The following table shows the measurements of the circumference and diameter of various objects. Put the answer in the last column. So, what are the objects? Bottle cap, mouth of a cup, compact disc, mouth of a glass, and Marmite lid. So, circumference is measured and the diameter. So, circumference and diameter ratio we are finding. Circumference divided by the diameter. So, we'll see what we get. So, you know how to use the calculator. We'll calculate circumference divided by the diameter. So, first one, 22 over 7. 22 divided by 7, you get 3.14. 25 divided by 7.6. 3.28. 33.5 divided by 10.8. 3.10. 18.5 divided by 6.1. 3.03. 25 divided by 7.7. You get 3.24. Now, when you take the measurements like this, we can take here 3.1 as the rough value for this ratio. So we'll now look at the ratio. So observe the answer in the table. 3.1 is the nearest answer. As this is a constant value, it is denoted by the Greek letter pi. So this is the Greek letter pi. So pi will take as 3.1. So we found out circumference divided by the diameter is 3.1. Multiply both sides by d. What do you get? D get cancelled out. You get circumference is equal to 3.1 d. Now 3.1 we can take as pi. So if this is pi, what's the formula we are getting? C equals pi d. If you know the diameter, when you multiply by the pi value, the constant value, you can find out the circumference. This is the formula to find out the circumference of a circle. So C equals pi d. So pi is 3.1, or we can take as a fraction, this is approximately, all are approximated values, that's 22 over 7. So we take 22 over 7 as the pi value because pi is an irrational number. You can't just write down the exact value. So these are estimated values. Now we know C equals pi d. But we know the relationship between diameter and the radius. So when you substitute radius instead of diameter, what we get? Pi. Instead of d, I can write 2r. And when I take 2 in the front, what am I getting? 2 pi r. So what's the new formula? C equals circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So if you know the radius, you can use 2 pi r. If you know the diameter, you can use C equals pi d. So remember this formulae to find out the circumference of a circle. So this is the other formula to find out the circumference using radius. 2 pi r. R is the radius, C is the circumference, and you can take pi as 22 over 7. If you are taking the decimal answer, it's 3.14. All these are estimated values. Find the circumference of a circle whose diameter is 14. Diameter is given, so you can use C equals pi d. Pi will take as 22 over 7 and d is 14. Here fraction into a whole number. Multiply the numerator separately and here 7 is the denominator. 7 times 1, 7 times 2. So 2 times 22, you get 44. What's the unit? Centimeters. Find the circumference of a circle whose diameter is 35 now. Still the diameter. Diameter is 35. Pi we can take 22 over 7. You are asked to find out the circumference. Use pi d formula. 22 over 7 and 35. You can multiply the numerator separately and denominator is 7. 7 times 1, 7 times 5. 22 times 5. 5 times 2, 10. 5 times 2, 10 plus 1, 11. So what's the unit? Centimeters. So 110 centimeters. Find the diameter of a circle whose circumference is 44. Circumference is 44. Other way around given. So you are asked to find out the diameter now. Now we can write pi d equals C this way because we need to find out d. Then we can do writing the formula in this way is more suitable. So what's d? C divided by pi. So C is 44 divide by, I can write divide by pi value, pi 22/7. This is division. You can convert to multiplication by taking the reciprocal. Then 44 times 7 in the numerator and 22 in the denominator. When you simplify, you get 14 is the diameter of this circle. That's centimeters. Find the diameter of a circle when circumference is 220 now. Circumference is given. You are asked to find out the diameter. So pi d equals C. Now d equals pi divided by C. Or other way around. So d equals C divided by pi. What's C? 220 divided by 22/7. So convert to multiplication. That's reciprocal of this. Now 220 multiplied by 7 divided by 22. When you divide by 22, you get 1 and 10. 10 times 7, 70 centimeters is the diameter of this circle. A circle is made out of a 4.4 meter length of thin wire. Find its diameter. So here this is given in meters. When you multiply by 100, what you get? 440 centimeters. Now they are asked to find out the diameter. So what's C? C is the outer length. That's the circumference. So that's 440 centimeters. Pi value 22/7. And you need D. So what's the formula? C equals pi D. So we need diameter. So you can write pi D equals C. So what's D? C divided by pi. C is 440 divided by 22/7. So convert to multiplication. We get 7/22. 440 multiplied by 7 divided by 22. So 22 times 1, this is 2. So 20 times 7, 140. What's the unit? This is centimeters. Finding the circumference when radius is given. Now radius is given 7. Pi we can take 22/7. Now what's the formula? C equals 2 pi r. 2 times 22/7. Radius is 7. So you can multiply the numerators and then denominator becomes 7. 7 get cancelled out. 2 times 22, that's 44 centimeters. That's the circumference. Find the circumference of a circle whose radius is 14. Radius is 14, pi is 22/7. So you can use 2 pi r. 2 times pi, 22/7 times 14. So you can multiply the numerator and divide by 7, you get the circumference. 7 times 1 and 2 here. So 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 22, 88 centimeters. Find the circumference of a circle whose radius is 3.5. Now it's a decimal. By using 3.5, it is difficult to solve problem. So what we do? We can convert 3.5 to a fraction, 3 1/2. So what's the improper fraction? 3.5 means 7/2. So it's easy when you use a fraction 7/2. So we'll see. So radius is 7/2. Pi is 22/7. So what's the circumference? 2 times pi, 22/7. R is 7/2. Now multiply the numerator and denominator becomes 7 times 2. So 7 get cancelled out. 2 with 2. You get 22 centimeters for the circumference. Find the circumference of a circle whose radius is 10.5. So what we can write? 10.5 is 10.5. Convert to improper fractions. 21/2. So you can use 21/2. Now substitute 22/7, the pi value. R is 21/2. Now multiply. What you get? This way it's easy. So you can simplify easily. 7 times 1, this is 3. 2 get cancelled out and you get 1. So 3 times 22, 66 centimeters. Find the circumference of a circle whose radius is 17.5. 17.5, I can write 17.5, and this is 35/2 as an improper fraction. So 35/2, pi is 22/7, so you need C. So we have radius, so what's the circumference? 2 pi r. Here, instead of 17.5, 35/2 is more appropriate. 2 times pi, 22/7. R is 35/2. So multiply the numerator and the denominator becomes 7 times 2. Now simplify. 2 get cancelled out. 7 times 5. So 22 times 5. 5 times 2, 10. 1 remaining. 5 times 2, 10 plus 1, 11. So 110 centimeters. When you get a decimal, it's easy to convert to an improper fraction. An improper fraction and using fraction is more appropriate to solve problems. By revolving 200 times, find the distance in meters a bicycle wheel travels if the radius of the wheel is 35 centimeters. So here we need the circumference. So 35 is the radius and this is 200 times revolving. So you need to first find for one revolution what's the circumference and multiply by 2. So what's C? Circumference is 2 pi r. So 2 times pi is 22/7 and r is 35. So what's the value? 2 times 22 times 35 divide by 7. 7 times 1 and 5. Here 5 times 2, 10. 10 into 22, 220 centimeters. This is for one revolution. 200 revolutions are there. So what's the distance travelled? 220 multiplied by 200. So that means 2 zeros and 3 zeros. Multiply by 2, you get 44. So 44,000 centimeters. You can divide by 100. and you can write 440 meters. So when you divide by 100, two zeros get cancelled out, so you get 440 meters. Look at this question. How many times must a wheel of radius 35 centimeters revolve to travel a distance covered by a wheel of radius 14 which revolves 80 times? First we'll find out for this wheel. So the radius is 14. The radius is 14 and pi you can take 22/7, and we need to find out the circumference. So you can use 2 pi r. 2 times pi, 22/7 times r. So what's the value? 2 times 22 times 14 divided by 7. So you get 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 22, 88. So this is 1 revolution. But it revolves 80 times. So what's the total distance traveled? 88 for 1 and multiply by 80, you get the total distance. 0, 8 times 8, 64. 6 remaining. 8 times 8, 64 plus 6, 7040. This is centimeters. Now, what about the big one? Big wheel radius is 35. So, what's the distance there? C equals 2 pi r. 2 times 22/7 times 35. So you get 2 times 22 times 35 divided by 7. 7 times 5. 5 times 2, 10. 10 times 22, 220 centimeters. So now we need how many times the wheel need to rotate to get the same distance? So distance covered by 1 revolution for this one is 220 centimeters. Number of times the larger wheel should be revolved. You have to divide. So this is the distance covered by 1 revolution. This is 220 centimeters. So how can we find out? We can divide. 7040 is the total distance. Divide by 220. You get how many times you need to revolve to get the same distance. 0 get cancelled out. So divide by 2. 2 times 1, 11. So 2 times 3, 6. For 10, that's 5. So 2. So you can divide by 11. 11 times 1. 11 times 3, 33. 2 remaining for 22, that's 2. So how many times you need to revolve? 32 times. Find the perimeter of a semicircular sector. What's perimeter? Outer length. So this is a semicircle, so you need this length and this length. So what's the circumference of a semicircle? For a full circle, that's pi d. If the diameter is d, perimeter, first circumference of semicircle. Circumference is pi d divide by 2. Because this is half of a circle, you have to divide by 2. Diameter is d. This length is d. So what's the perimeter? Half of a circle plus d. So pi d over 2 plus d. So this is the formula to find out the circumference of a semicircle plus the diameter. That's called the perimeter of a semicircular sector. So how can you write down? I can take d out and write down pi over 2 plus 1. Or I can take the common denominator also, possible, 2 as the common denominator, but I can write this as well. Perimeter, now we can use P. P is the perimeter of the semicircular sector is d plus pi d over 2. Find the perimeter. So what's the d value? D is given 28 centimeters. And we need perimeter. So what's the perimeter? Pi d over 2 plus d. Now, what's pi value? We can take pi as 22 over 7. So 22 over 7 multiplied by 28 and this 2 there plus 28. Here 22 times 28 over 7 times 2 plus 28. 7 times 4. 2 times 11. So 11 times 4, 44 plus 28. So add these two, 8 plus 4, 12, 1 remaining, 4 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7. So 72 centimeters is the perimeter of the semicircular sector. The diagram shows piece of land consisting of a rectangular section and a semicircular section. Find the perimeter. So what's the d value here? This semicircular part, d is the same length, 70. Pi is 22 over 7. So we need this part, the circumference of a semicircle. So length of the semicircular section, so you can do pi d over 2 because full circle is pi d divided by 2. So 22 over 7 and d is 70 and 2 is there. So 22 times 70 over 7 times 2, 2 times 11 here, 7 times 10. 11 times 10 is 110 centi. This is meters. 110 meters. Now, what's the perimeter? Now, we found this part. So, perimeter means you have to add these three lengths. So, 110 plus 90, another 90 and 70. So, add all together 0. 9 and 9, 18. 18 plus 7, 25. 25 plus 1, 26. 2 remaining. 2 plus 1, 3. Check it again. 110 plus 90, 200. 290. So 300 and 360. So what's the unit? This is 360 meters. Find the perimeter of the shaded region in the below diagram. So we'll first find out the circumference of this part, half of a circle, semicircular part. What's the diameter there? 14 and 14, 28. So C you need to find. So you can do pi d over 2 or half pi d. So half pi is 22 over 7, d 28. So what's the value? 22 times 28 8 divided by 2 times 7. 7 times 4, 2 times 2. So you get 44. That's centimeters. Now we'll take the smaller circles. So we need to find out this one and this one. You get 2 semicircular sections when you take 2, what you get? 1 full circle. So we can use pi d straight away for the small one. What's the diameter? 14. And how we find out the circumference of a full circle? Pi 22 over 7, d is 14. 22 times 14 divided by 7, you get 44. Did you observe something? When you get a big one, you get the same thing when you add these two. So from the next question, you will figure out when you divide any circular part into several smaller ones, the circumference is the same. Now we'll do the other part. Now we found out this is 44 centimeters. So what's the perimeter of the shaded region? You add these two. 44 plus 44, you get 88 centimeters. Is the perimeter of the shaded region. Now this one divided into 3 parts. We'll see this circumference is the same as when you add all 3 together. What's the diameter for the larger one? 14 plus 14 plus 14. You get 42. And so diameter is 42. Pi is 22 over 7. So you need the circumference. So you can use half pi d. Pi d divided by 2. Pi is 22 over 7. D is 42. So you get 22 into 42 and here 2 and 7. 7 times 6, 2 times 3. So you get 66 centimeter for the bigger semicircle. Now what's the diameter of the smaller semicircle? 14. Pi is 22 over 7. Now we need to find out the circumference and multiply it by 3 because there are 3 semicircles. So what's the value? Half. Pi is 22 over 7. D is 14 and multiply by 3. You get 22 times 14 times 3 over 2 times 7. So 7 times 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. You get 66. So the same answer. When you divide into 4, you get the same answer as the bigger one. So what's the perimeter of the shaded part? So these 3 and this one. So just add the 2 values, 66 and another 66. You get 132 centimeters. Now we'll look at review exercise. Fill in the blanks using suitable words. The locus of the point on a plane which are at a constant distance from a fixed point is a circle. So you did this before in loci and constructions. The point right at the middle of a circle is known as the center. Copy the 2 columns A and B given below and using the given figure, join the relevant pairs. Point O is the center. Look at the diagram. OA, center to the any point on this circle. That's called radius. BC, the chord, the largest chord passing through the center. That's BC, that's diameter. OB is the radius. So you can connect this. PQ is just a chord. So this is a chord. Question number 2. What is the length of the diameter of a circle of radius 5? So we know D equals 2r. Twice as radius. 2 times 5. So you get 10 centimeters. What is the length of the radius of a circle of diameter 7? Other way around. So radius is divide by 2. Diameter divide by 2. So you can write 7 over 2 or as a decimal 3.5 centimeters. If the radius of a circle is r and the diameter is d, write an equation expressing the relationship between d and r. D equals 2r. Example number 1. Find the circumference of a circle of radius 7. Use 22 over 7 for the value of pi. So what's the circumference formula with radius? 2 pi r. 2 times pi, 22 over 7 times radius is 7. So we multiply the numerator values and denominator is 7. 7 get cancelled out. 2 times 22, you get 44 centimeters. Exercise 18.1. Find the circumference of the circle with the measurement given below. Use 22 over 7 as the pi value. So radius is 7. So what's the formula? 2 pi r. 2 times 22 over 7 times 7. So 2 times 22 times 7 divide by 7. Here 7 get cancelled out. 2 times 22 you get 44 centimeters. Now the diameter is given. So what's the formula we can use? Pi d. So pi is 22 over 7 and d is 21. So 22 times 21 over 7, you get 3 times 22, 66 meters as the circumference. Radius 10.5. So what's the easiest way to do? Convert to a fraction. 10.5, 10 and a half, or you can write as 21 over 2. Now use the formula 2 pi r. 2 times pi, 22 over 7 times radius, 21 over 2. So multiply the numerator and denominator separately. 2 and 2 get cancelled out. 7 times 1 and this is 3. So 3 times 22, 66 centimeters. 17 and a half convert to improper fraction. So you get 35 over 2 is the diameter. Now what's the suitable formula? Pi d. Pi is 22 over 7 and d is 35 over 2. So 22 over 7, here 35 in the numerator, this is 2 here. 7 times 1 and 5. 2 times 11. 11 times 5, 55 meters. Radius 7 over 2 already as a fraction. So we can use C equals 2 pi r. 2 times pi. 22 over 7, r is 7 over 2. So 2 times 22 times 7 over 7 times 2. 7 get cancelled out. 2 with 2. So what's the answer? 22 meters. Diameter is 28. So what's the formula? You can use pi d. Pi is 22 over 7 times 28. So you can write 22 times 28 over 7. 7 times 1 and here 4. You get 88 centimeters. Now 15.4 is the radius, so decimal value. So we have to take the decimal value. So r equals 15.4. So what's the circumference? 2 pi r. So 2 times 22 over 7 times 15.4. So 2 times 22 times 15.4 divide by 7. So you can divide by 7 here. 7 times 1, 2, 14 and another 2. So you get 22 times 22 times 2. So 44 times 22, 20 and 2. So you get 968, but here decimal point is there. So keep one place. To the left, 96.8 centimeters is the circumference. Diameter 3 and 1 over 9. We can convert to improper fractions. 9 times 3, 27 plus 1, 28. So circumference is pi d. Pi 22 over 7, d is 28 over 9. Now simplify. First write down the numerator and denominator like this and try to simplify. 7 times 1 and here's 4. 9 you can't divide, so 88 over 9. What's that? 9 times 9, 81. 7 remaining, so 7 over 9 meters is the circumference. Example number 1. Find the perimeter of the semicircle shown in the figure. Use 22 over 7 for the value of pi. Diameter is given 21 centimeters. Now this is a semicircle and you are asked to find the perimeter. So how you find out the perimeter? First find out the circumference of half of a circle. So what's the circumference? Half of a circle. Half into pi d. Half into 22 over 7 into d is 21. You get 22 into 21 over 2 into 7. 7 times 3. 2 times 11. So that's 33 centimeters for this semicircular part. Now perimeter. Perimeter is, we have to add the diameter to that. 33 and 21. So you get 54 centimeters for the perimeter of this semicircular sector. Example 2. A compound figure consisting of two semicircular laminas of radius 14 and diameter 14. Diameter 14 means this one. Respectively is shown in the figure. Find its perimeter. So this whole perimeter means, first we'll find out the smaller one. Smaller circle, smaller semicircle. Diameter is 14. So how you find out the circumference? This is a semicircular part, half pi d. So we can use half. Pi is 22 over 7 and d is 14. So what you get, 22 into 14 over 2 times 7. 7 times 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. You get 22 centimeters. That's this part. Now we need the bigger circle, this part. So what's the larger semicircle? What's the diameter? We know diameter is 28, but radius is 14 given. R is 14 now. So we can find out the circumference there. Half into 2 pi r. Half times 2 times pi, 22 over 7 times 14. What's the value? 2 times 22 times 14 over 2 times 7. 2 get cancelled out, 7 and 2. So you get 44 centimeter. So this is 44, this is 22. So what's the perimeter? Perimeter you need to add this length as well. So another 14 you have to add. So 22 plus 44 plus 14. So what's the answer? 4, 4, 8, 10. 10. 1 remaining. 4, 5, 7 and 8. 80 centimeters. Exercise 18.2. Find the perimeter of the semicircular lamina with the measurement given below. Use 22 over 7 as the pi value. So this is perimeter. And the radius is given 14. So what's the perimeter? So straight away shall we find out perimeter? Perimeter is half of the semicircular part, half of 2 pi r plus 14 and 14. So you get half and here 2, pi is 22 over 7 and r is 14 plus 28. So 7 times 2, this 2 get cancelled out, you get 44 plus 28, 72 centimeter for the perimeter of this semicircular part. This one diameter is 7. So when you draw this, you get diameter is 7. So how you find out the perimeter? At once, half of pi d. We can use half of pi d because diameter is given. So pi d formula. Plus, and you have to add d. So half, pi is 22 over 7. D is 7 plus 7 again. This one 22 into 7 over 2 times 7 plus 7. 2 into this 11. 7 get cancelled out. 11 plus 7 you get 18. So 18 centimeters is the perimeter of this semicircle. Question number 2. Find the perimeter of the shaded part of each of the figures given below. The curved parts in the figures are semicircles. Use 22 over 7 for the value of pi. This is a square. So this is 14. That means diameter is 14. So what's the perimeter? I can write at once. We'll find out this part. Half of pi d. plus 14 3 times. Now substitute the values. Half pi is 22 over 7, d is 14 plus 12, 1 is remaining, so 42, 14 times 3. This one 22 into 14, 2 and 7, so 7 times 2, and this 2 get cancelled out, so you get 22. So 22 plus 42, 64 centimeters. What about this one? This one, diameter is 7. So how you find out the perimeter of the full figure? So this part, half of pi d plus this part is 5, this is 5. 5 times 2. Now substitute the values. Half pi is 22 over 7. Diameter is 7. This is 10. Now 22 into 7 over 2 times 7. 7 get cancelled out and you get 11. 11 plus 10. You get 21 centimeter as the perimeter of this figure. This one, how you find out the perimeter? Radius given. So first we can find out the smaller one, circumference, and here the bigger one, and then you can add these two lengths. Okay, so we'll find out the total perimeter. Smaller one, radius is 7. So you can write half of 2 pi 22 over 7 r. R is 7. That's this part. And bigger one, radius is given, and 10.5 you can write as 10 and a half. Convert to improper fractions, you get 21 over 2. That's easy to use, 21 over 2. So what's the circumference of the bigger one? Half 2 pi 22 over 7 into r. R is 21 over 2. Now this is smaller one, bigger one. Now you need to add these two. So how you find out one distance? 10.5 minus 7. So what is 10.5 minus 7? You get 3.5. So multiplied by 2. So 3.5 multiplied by 2. Now we'll do the simplification. 2 times 22 over 2 times 7. And here 7 also there. This one 2 times 22 times 21 over 2 times 7 times 2. And 3.5 times 2, you get 7. 7 get cancelled out. 2 get cancelled out, you get 22 here. This one 2 get cancelled out, and 7 times 3 and 2 times 11. 11 times 3, 33. And another 7. So when you add, what you get? 7 plus 3, 10. 10 plus 2, 12. 1 remaining. 3 plus 3, 6. 62 centimeters. Example number 1. A wheel of radius 35 centimeter moves along a straight road. Find in meters the distance it moves during one full rotation. So that means the circumference. So you are asked to find in meters. First we'll find out the circumference. What's the suitable formula? Radius is 35. So 2 pi r. So 2 times 22 over 7 times 35. You get 2 times 22 times 35 over 7. 7 times 5. 5 times 2, 10. 10 into 220. So 10 into 22, you get 220 centimeters. Now, how you convert to meters? Divide by 100. So when you divide, it moves 2 decimal places to the left, 2.2 meters. Second part. What is the distance it moves in meters during 100 rotations? 1 rotation is 2.2. 100 rotations, you multiply by 100. 100 into 2.2, what you get? Move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So 220 meters. Then third one, how many rotation does the wheel undergo when traveling a distance of 1.1 kilometers? So the total distance is 1.1 kilometers. This is in meters. So convert this one to meters. So number of rotations. So the total distance 1.1 kilometer divided by 220 meters. So convert to meters, you multiply by 1000. So 1100 meters divided by 220 meters. So what you get? 1 0 get cancelled out. Divide by 11, this is 2 and 10. 10 divided by 2, you get 5 rotations. Example number 2. A circular frame is made by joining the two ends of a wire of length 66 centimeters. Find its radius. Let us assume that the radius is r. A circular frame is made by joining the two ends together. The wire is 66. So circumference is given 66 centimeters and you are asked to find out the radius. So what's the formula? C equals 2 pi r. It's easy to take 2 pi r to this side. So C equals, so r equals C divided by 2 pi. Now substitute the values. 66 divided by 2 times pi. Pi is 22 over 7. So how you do that? 66, 2 times 22, so divide by 44 over 7. Division you can convert to multiplication. So 66 multiplied by 7 over 44, that's the reciprocal of that. So you get 66 into 7 over 44. 11 times 4, 11 times 6. 2 times 2, 2 times 3. 21 over 2. So what's the radius? 21 over 2, or you can write 10.5 centimeters is the radius of the circle. Exercise 18.3. Use 22 over 7 for the value of pi. A lamina composed of two semicircles is shown in the figure. This is pasted on an ornamental box. A gold thread is to be pasted around the lamina. Find the minimum length of thread required to paste around this lamina. So that means perimeter. First we'll find out the smaller one and then the bigger one, and 1.4, and here also 1.4. So we'll find out perimeter at once. Smaller one. diameter is 4.2. So, half of pi d we can use. Bigger one, the total length is what? Diameter is 1.4 plus 1.4 plus 4.2. 7, just check. 4 plus 4, 8, 2, 10. 1 remaining, 2, 3, 7. So, 7 centimeters for the diameter for the bigger one. So, again, half of pi d, this is the bigger one. And then you have to add 1.4 times 2. Now, we substitute the values. Half, pi is 22 over 7. What's the smaller diameter? Smaller diameter is 4.2. Bigger one, the diameter we found, that's 7. And 1.4 times 2, you get 2.8. Now add it. 22 times 4.2 divided by 2 times 7. So 2 times 11 there. When you divide this by 7, you get 0.6. Here 22 times 7 over 2 times 7. So 7 get cancelled out. You get 11 there. Plus 2.8. Now what's the final answer? 11 times 0.6? 6.6. And 11 there and 2.8. When you add it together, 8, 6, 14. 1 remaining. So 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 remaining. So you get 2. So 20.4. So keep 1 decimal place. 20.4 centimeters is the perimeter of this figure. Find the total length in meters of the thread required to paste around 500 such laminas. So that means now this is 1 lamina. This is in centimeters, 20.4. You need that length in meters for 500. So total length you can find out. 1 is 20.4 multiplied by 500. So this is in centimeters. But how you convert to meters? Divide by 100. So when you divide this by 100, so 20.4 into 500 divide by 100, you can convert to meters. So here 100 times 1, here 5. 20.4 into 5. 5 times 4, 20, 2 remaining. So here 2, 5 times 2, 10. So 1 decimal place you keep. So what's the final answer? 102 meters. This is for 500 such laminas. The circumference of a circular plot of land is 440 meters. Find its radius. So circumference is given 440 meters and you are asked to find out the radius. So what's the formula? Circumference is 2 pi r. You need radius, so I can write 2 pi r equals circumference. So what is r? Circumference divided by 2 pi. Circumference is 440 divided by 2 times pi. Pi is 22 over 7. So 440 divide by 44 over 7. How you convert to multiplication? Take the reciprocal. 7 goes there, 44 below. So 7 times 440 divided by 44. You get 10 times 7, 70 meters is the radius. The perimeter of semicircular lamina is 39.6 centimeters. Find its diameter. So semicircular part. Perimeter is 39.6. You need diameter. Now, how can you find out the formula for perimeter? Perimeter is the diameter plus half of the circumference, half pi d. Now, substitute P equals 39.6. Now, we can take d out from this. So, here you get 1 plus half pi. So, what's d? You can take this one. So, first we'll find out this value. Half of 22 over 7. 39.6. Here, 2 times 1, 11. So, 1 plus 11 over 7. So, what's d? d equals 39.6 divided by this value. So, 1 plus 11 over 7. I can write as 7 over 7 for 1. I need to add these two fractions. So, 39.6 divided by, you get 18 over 7. Now, division you can convert to multiplication and write 39.6 multiplied by 7 divided by 18. So, divide. So, I can see divisible by 6. This is 3. 6 times 6, 36. Again 6. Again divide by 3. You get 2.2. So, 2.2 multiplied by 7. 7 times 2, 14. 1 remaining. 14 plus 1, 15. So, the answer is 15.4. What's the unit? Centimeters. Question number 4. A sketch of a playground is shown in the figure. It consists of a rectangular part and 2 semicircular parts. Find the perimeter of the playground. Now, can you see this semicircle and this semicircle? When you connect, you get one full circle. So, what's the perimeter of this ground? One full circle. So, diameter is given. So, pi d plus 110 and another 110 multiplied by 2. So, pi is 22 over 7. D is 70. 220. Now, you can cross out. This is 10. So, 220 plus 220. What's the answer? 440. What's the unit? This is meters. So, the perimeter is 440 meters. Second part, it says, show that the distance covered by a runner in completing 2.5 rounds of the playground is more than 1 kilometer. So, this is for 1 round. So, what's the distance for 2.5 rounds? 2.5 multiplied by 440. Convert to an improper fraction, you get 5 over 2. Multiplied by 440. So, 5 times 440 divided by 2. You get 220 multiplied by 5. 0, 10, 11. So 1100 meters. When you divide by 1000, you get 1.1 kilometer. So this value is greater than 1 kilometer. So when you go round 2.5 rounds, it's more than 1 kilometer. Question number 5. A cyclist rides a bicycle along a straight road. The radius of each wheel of the bicycle is 28 centimeters. Only the radius given. Find the distance the bicycle moves during the period that wheels complete one full rotation. So that means circumference of the wheel. So how you find out the circumference? C equals 2 pi r. We take 22 over 7 for pi. Radius is 28. So 2 times 22 times 28 over 7. 7 times 4. So you get 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 22. So 16 and 16 plus 1, 17. 176 centimeters is the circumference. That's the distance for one full circle. Second part, what is the distance the bicycle moves in meters during the period that the wheel complete 50 rotations? So one full circle is 176. So what's the total distance for 50 rotations? Total distance is equal to 50 times 176. But this is in centimeters. You need to find out the distance in meters. So divide this by 100. 1 0 get cancelled out. 5 times 2. So 176 divided by 2. 2 times 8, 16. 2 times 8, 16. So 88 meters is the total distance travelled for 50 rotations. Part 3. The cyclist says that the wheels rotate at least 800 times when he travels a distance of 1500 meters. Do you agree with this statement? Give reasons for your answer. So what's one full circle? That's the circumference, 176 centimeters. So circumference is 176 centimeters. Now this distance is for 800. So we'll divide and see whether the value is more than 800. So 1500 in centimeters, 1500 into 100. That's the distance traveled. So number of rotations you can find by dividing the total distance by the circumference. And we'll see how many rotations are there. So you get divide by 2. Shall we divide by this by 2? Or just long division? We'll do long division. So 15 with 4 zeros. Divide by 176. This is nothing. How many 176 are there for this one? For this value? So we'll take 9 or 8. That should be 8. So we'll take 8 here. 8 times 6, 48. 4 remaining. 8 times 7, 56 plus 4, 60. 6 remaining. 8 times 1, 8. 8 plus 6, 14. When you subtract, you get 2, 9. So 92. For 920, what's the value? So you get 6. 6 times 6, 36. 3 remaining. 6 times 7, 42. 42 plus 3, 45. 4 remaining. 6 times 1, 6. 6 plus 4, 10. So that means less than that. So we'll take 5. 5 times 6, 30. 3 remaining. 5 times 7, 35. Plus 3, 38. 3 remaining. 5 times 1, 5. Plus 3, 8. So when you subtract, you get 40. Then another 0 is there for 400. How many? 176. So that should be 2. 2 times 6, 42. 2 times 7, 14 plus 4, 18. 1 remaining. 2 times 1, 2 plus 1, 3. 8, 1. So you get 18. So this is 852 kilometers are there. That means more than 800, not kilometers here. This is number of rotations. So 852 are there. So this is more than 800. So we can agree the statement. So it's true and we can agree to the statement. Miscellaneous exercise. Find the perimeter of the shaded part of each figure. So you need this semicircle and this semicircle becomes one circle and 40 each. So what's the perimeter? Perimeter is, here diameter is given, so you can use pi d plus 40 twice. Now what's the diameter? 10.5 you can write as 10.5 or convert to improper fractions 21/2. So pi 22/7, d is 21/2 plus 80. So when you simplify, you get 22 times 21/7 times 2 plus 80, 7 times 3, 2 times 11, 33 plus 80, you get 113 centimeters for the perimeter of this figure. This one. So perimeter means this one plus this one. So again you get one full circle and here you have to add these 2 lengths as well as these 4 lengths. So we'll calculate the perimeter at once. Diameter is given. So pi d. Semicircle and semicircle becomes one full circle plus 25 twice. And then what's the small distance? 10.5 and 15. When you subtract, you get these two parts. So 15 minus 10.5. 4.5. So 4.5 means these two. So multiply by 2 to get both sides length. Now we'll substitute. What's D here? 10.5 you can write as 10.5 or as an improper fraction 21/2. That's easier to apply. So 21. So pi 22/7. D is 21/2. So 25 times 2 here. 2 times 4.5 you get 9. Simplify here. 22 into 21/7 times 2. 25 times 2 here and 9. 7 times 3. 2 times 11. So you get 33. 25 times 2, 50. And 9. What's the distance? 3, 9. 12. 1 remaining. So 92 centimeters is the perimeter of this figure. Showed that the length of metal wire needed to make the frame shown in the figure, which consists of 4 semicircular parts, is 135 A/28. So different diameter value. So we have to take separately. So what's the total length? Total length is the perimeter. Not the perimeter, the circumference. So here, this is the circumference, half of a full circle. So likewise, you have to add all these. So we'll take the biggest one. Diameter is A. So what's that? Half pi and D. D is A. What's this one? Half pi. Now D is A/2. This one, half pi. Now the diameter is A/4. And the last one, smaller one, this A/8 now. Half pi A/8. Now we'll take this one. Half pi A. This one, 1/4 pi A. Here, this one, 1/8 pi A. And here, 1/16 pi A. So, what's the common denominator? 16. So, you can convert to 16 and pi A is common. You can take it like this. So, this is multiplied by 8. This is 4. This is 2 and this is 1. 8 plus 4, 12. 12 plus 2, 14. 14 plus 1, 15. So, you get 15/16 pi. Pi is 22/7 A. Now, simplify. You can divide by 2. 8 and 11. Now, when you multiply, you get 11 times 5, 55. And 11 times 1, 11 plus 5, 16. So, 165/56A. Now, when you take the whole diagram frame, you have to add these values as well. So, what's the total length of wire needed? Total length of wire needed. We got 165 over 56A for circular parts. And now we have to add A plus A over 2 plus A over 4 and A over 8 to create the whole frame. Now what's the value? When you add it, you get 165 over 56A. Here, what's the denominator? You get 8. So 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. A. So what's the value? 165 over 56A. 12, 14, 15A over 8. Now convert to the same denominator. That's 56. So 165 plus, multiply by 7, 7 times 5, 35, 7 times 1, 7 plus 3, 10. And this is A. Now add it together, you get 5, 5, 10, 1 remaining. So 7. 270 over 56A. So you can divide by 2. Divide by 2. You get 1 and 35 in the numerator. Divide by 2 here. You get 28 and A. So the answer is 135A over 28. That's the total wire needed to construct the whole frame. Question number 3. A paperclip with semicircular parts is to be made according to the given measurements. Find the length of the wire needed to make the clip in the figure. So this is, we need to find 3 semicircular parts are there and we need to add these lengths. So we'll find out the total length of wire needed. This semicircle, the diameter is 1.4. So pi d. D is 1.4. And this is not a full circle, so multiply by half. This semicircle, the diameter is 0.7. So half pi 22 over 7, d is 0.7. And the big one, what's the diameter for that semicircle? 2.1. So half pi into 2.1. So those are the 3 semicircular parts. And then you need to add 3.5. How many times? 3. And add this 2 centimeter length. So that's the total length of wire needed. Now we'll do the calculation. 22 times 1.4 over 7 times 2. Other one. 22 times 0.7 over 2 times 7. Third one. 22 times 2.1 over 2 times 7. And here you get 3.5 times 3. 3 times 5, 15. 3 times 3, 9 plus 1, 10. 10.5 and another 2. Now we'll simplify. 2 times 11. 7 times 0.2. 2 times 11 here, 7 times 0.1. 2 times 11, 7 times 0.3. So what's the value? 11 times 0.2, 2.2. 11 times 0.1, 1.1. 11 times 0.3, that's 3.3. And 10.5 and 2, 12.5. So what's the total distance? We'll write in a column and add. When you add it together, you get 8 plus 1, 9. 9 plus 2, 11. 1 remaining. So 3 plus 1, 4. 4 plus 3, 7. 7 plus 2, 9. So 19.1 centimeters. So we covered all theory related to circumference of a circle. So what's the formula we used? When we know the diameter, that's C equals pi d. And when we know the radius, what's the circumference? That's 2 pi r. So what's the perimeter of semicircle? Pi r plus 2r, or if it's diameter, this is d plus, what's this one? Half pi d. So practice with all these examples and exercise and thorough with the formula, and you can find out the circumference of any circle.